Hello students, today we are going to study chapter number 10, Circulatory System in Animals. So let's start. Circulatory system in human beings. As we learn that living organisms perform various life processes for their survival. They need various useful materials like food, water and oxygen, and also produce some waste material like carbon dioxide. So, in human beings, digestive food, water, oxygen, waste material, and are carried around the body by blood. You can see that it consists three parts: heart, blood vessel, in which blood flow. Blood flow through a network of tubes which are called blood vessel and is pumped to every part of the body by the heart. So the heart and network of blood vessels, blood, form the circulatory system. Now we will see one by one. The heart is an organ which pumps blood to all the part of our body through the blood vessel. Human heart is a powerful muscular organ. The heart works like a pump working non-stop throughout our life. The heart is located between the lungs in the chest cavity with its lower tip slightly tilted towards the left. The heart is enclosed in a double layer membranous sac called pericardium, and it has four compartments called chambers. The upper two chambers of the heart are called auricles or in singular form atrium. You can see in this picture left auricle and the right auricle, left ventricle and the right ventricle, and the two lower chamber of the heart called ventricles. The left side. Now come to the left side. Left side of the heart has oxygen rich blood and it also called oxygenated blood, whereas the right side of the heart has carbon dioxide rich blood called deoxygenated blood. Left side is completely separated from the right side by a partition wall called septum. You can see in second picture these left side is totally separated from the right side by this wall. Light pink color you can see here, it is not written septum. Its work is which prevent the mixing of oxygenated blood with the deoxygenated blood. It's like a wall. Now you can see in this picture the tricuspid valve, and these are the walls. So their work is that it present between the right atrium and the right ventricle, which allow bloods to flow from right atrium to the right ventricle. And to the left side, bicuspid wall is present between the left and the left ventricle, which allow blood to flow from the left atrium to the left ventricle. Here the mitral wall and the wall is there. These are the bicuspid wall, and here tricuspid wall. Blood vessels. You can see three pictures are there and it looks like a tube. So blood vessels are kind of tubes through which the blood flow. There are three types. You can see here: arteries, veins and capillary. Arteries first. That what blood vessels carry the blood from the heart to various part of the body, and it carries oxygen rich blood. It having a thick muscular wall. You can see in the picture that thick outer wall, thick layer of muscles and elastic fibers, and small lumen. Why? Because the blood flow is rapid and at high pressure. When the pressure is high, so blood flow very fast. So they are having the thick wall. Lumen means the passage from where? Opening, from where the blood flow. So, and second is vein. It is opposite to from its arteries. Veins are the blood vessels that carry blood from all the part of the body back to the heart, and it carries carbon dioxide rich blood. It has thin and less elastic muscular walls because the blood flow is not rapid at low pressure. Veins are lessly deep situated than arteries. So arteries are arteries quite deep under our skin, but not veins deeply situated. You can see in your arms and leg, you can see the greenish blue lines just below the skin. These are the veins, and they have walls which allow the blood to flow in one direction only, that is only towards the heart. I told you in previous heart slides the walls. So next is the capillaries. You can see it is very thin. It's very extremely thin, which connect these both two blood vessels, means which connect arteries to veins. Through these thin walls, exchange of material take place. Exchange of material means that from the blood, when we eat food, energy release, oxygen release, and all the nutrients release and mix into the blood. These pass by this capillary, and the waste product also pass by capillaries. Come, second is blood. Have you seen blood color? It's red color. Blood is a red color fluid which flow in the blood vessel to every part of the body. An average adult person has 5 to 6 liters of blood. You know, blood transport substances, you know very well, like digested food, oxygen from the lungs to the body cell, and carbon dioxide from the cell to the lungs, waste product from the body cell for removal from the bodies, all this through the blood. Blood consists two components. One is fluid and second is solid. Fluid means blood plasma, and the second is the solid component or cellular component is red blood cell. Cellular means cell, which related to the cell, that's why I am saying the red blood cell, which is known as erythrocytes, white blood cell, leukocytes, platelets or thrombocytes. Now we will see. You can see that you can see that there is a blood vessel. Through blood vessel, blood flow, and in blood two components are there. Blood plasma, you can see this orange color, look, it's a blood plasma, red blood cells, and bluish color, it's a white cells, and very minute like it's a platelets. Here there are different types of bloods, white blood cells, the structure, you can see the red blood cells and platelets. Now we will see one by one. Red blood cell. Red blood cell, or we will see this one in next slide. Now first, plasma. It's a fluid component of the blood. What is plasma? In previous slide you have seen that color is orangish, but it is yellowish in color. It's a fluid part of the blood and it is yellowish color, contain about 90% of water, and it carries water and various material like digestive food, waste materials from one part of the body to the another part. It also contains proteins, carbohydrate, electrolytes. Now second, you can see red blood cells. Red blood cells or erythrocytes are red in color, you can see in the picture, due to the presence of red pigment called hemoglobin. In short form, many times you have listened HB. So the hemoglobin of the red blood cell transport oxygen from the lungs to the cell of the body, means it carries the oxygen. These cells carry the oxygen. It also carry the carbon dioxide produced by the cell during the breakdown of food. So are produced in the red bone marrow of bones. You know that where is bone marrow? It is present inside the bones, and the red blood cells produce there. Their lifespan, average lifespan is about 120 days, and they look like a disc shape and small in size. You can see when hemoglobin combines with oxygen form oxyhemoglobin in the lungs. So when this oxygen rich blood reaches the cell tissues, and it releases the oxygen and used by the cell for oxidation of food, and hemoglobin becomes free to carry oxygen again. Blood carries by veins, so it called deoxygenated blood carries carbon dioxide back to the heart, then to the lungs. So hemoglobin plus oxygen combine oxyglobin, oxygen release in the cell, again hemoglobin free, again it combined with oxygen. So this process is going on. Now plasma, you can see that it's a transport medium from the cell, and it is contains protein for the blood clotting and defending the body against infection. This is the work of plasma or function of the plasma. White blood cells. White blood cells or leukocytes. White blood cells are colorless, irregular shaped cells. They are very few in number but bigger in size if we compare with red blood cell. The main function of white blood cell is to fight against germs that enter our body and protect us from diseases. We recognize that 5 different types of white blood cells on the basis of their size, shapes, and their nucleus and content, cytoplasmic content. The number is much less than RBC. All of them play an important role in the protection of body. They fight against diseases, they destroy the germs, harmful bacteria. Some produce antibodies against pathogens. So they are important part of our self-defense system, means immune system. If we has, it protect our body from diseases, so it's very important. Next is platelets or thrombocytes. Platelets are colorless, round, tiny cells formed in the bone marrow. If a person get injured, so blood start flowing from the cut or wound. Body cannot afford to let blood flow out of the body. So after some time you have observed that a dark red clot is formed, which plug the cut and bleeding stop, means which stop the flowing of blood. This blood clot, how it is formed? Because of platelets, which is present in the blood, and it do not have any nuclei, so are the smallest floating fragment in the blood plasma. So the main important part of this, it's help for clotting of blood to prevent further bleeding. So again I repeated that red blood cell, it's red in color because of presence of the red pigment is hemoglobin. White blood cell and platelets are colorless. Red blood cells dish shape, white irregular shape, platelets round, small but irregular shape. In red blood cell, nucleus is not present. White blood cells, nucleus is present, and the platelets nucleus is absent. So only in white blood cell nucleus is present. And red blood carry oxygen. White blood function is it protect the body from diseases. Platelet function is help in clotting of blood. Blood transfusion. What is the meaning? Is the process of transferring blood or blood-based product from one person into the another person. You can see here picture. A person who received the blood is called recipient and the person who gives blood is called the donor. So first person is the donor who gives the blood to another person, which is known as recipient. So blood is the vital component of our body. In case of serious injury or accident, a lot of blood loss from our body. So a blood loss of 40% or more may result in death. If the loss of more than 40%, so maybe person in result of that person is death also. Many diseases also affect blood formation and cause deficiency of blood called anemia. When we are having the less blood in our body, so that time we are suffered with anemia. So blood is supplied from the external sources to make up for the blood loss. So this is the transfusion of blood, means from the external sources. External sources, you can see there the person who gives the blood. It is gives the blood. It's the external sources. Blood groups. Blood can be transferred from a donor only if its blood type match with that of the recipient. So basically there are 4 types: A, B, AB, O. These are the groups. So if it can be transferred from a donor if they are having the matching type of blood group. Now there are 4 groups. I told you they are known as blood group A, B, AB, O. Blood group O is called the universal donor. Why? This person which having this group, he or she can donate blood to any blood group, either A, B, AB or O. That's why it's a universal donor. On the other hand, blood group AB is called the universal acceptor because this blood group can receive blood from any blood group, either A, B, AB or O. If the blood group of the donor does not match with that of the recipient, red blood cells clump together and leading to the death of the patient. So therefore, the medical staff has to be very careful giving a blood transfusion. That's why whenever you admit in hospital, that hospital always check your blood group, which blood group you are. So these are the A can give the blood to A and AB, B to AB and O also, both AB and it's a universal acceptor, so it can all. Blood circulation. The blood is circulated by the pumping action of the heart. So the heart pumps blood to the lungs and to the whole body. Let's see the steps by step. Here I am giving the simple flow chart of blood circulation. So you can easily understand by this. Number 1 step. When the blood passes through the capillaries of the lungs, then oxygen from the air enter the blood. The blood now oxygen rich and is called oxygenated blood. Then pulmonary veins bring the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. You can see that these are the pulmonary veins which carry the oxygen rich blood. From where oxygen rich blood comes? From the lungs. When the air enter into the lungs, the oxygen mix with the blood and it pass into the left atrium. Then left atrium contracts. Contract means secunda. The oxygenated blood is pushed into the left ventricle. It's a second step. Then when the left ventricle contracts, it pumps oxygenated blood is pushed into the left ventricle. As I told you, when it contracts, means left ventricle contract, it pumps the oxygenated blood into the main artery called aorta. Here, when it passes into the left atrium contract, then it goes into the left ventricle, then left ventricle again contract, it passes into the main artery which is known as aorta. The aorta branches into many arteries which supply oxygenated blood to all the organs except lungs of the body. When oxygenated blood from the arteries passes through the capillaries of the body organs, here these are the capillaries where pass the oxygenated blood, then it gives food and oxygen to the body cell. At the same time, carbon dioxide also produced as a waste product during respiration and entered the blood through these capillaries, as I told you in previous slides. So the deoxygenated, when it release carbon dioxide and mix into the blood, now it is deoxygenated blood, means rich in carbon dioxide, collect from the body organs, then it enter into the right atrium. Here carefully, not in right ventricle, first it goes into the right atrium. When the right atrium contracts, the deoxygenated blood is pushed into the right ventricle. When the right ventricle contracts, then is pumped into the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Here it works as a pulmonary artery. So in the lungs, deoxygenated bloods give out carbon dioxide and again absorb the fresh oxygen from the air when breathing. So the blood becomes oxygenated again. So this cycle is going on. So inside the organ, between an artery and the vein, there is always a network of capillaries and its extreme thin wall which exchange the material. So this process is going on. Lungs through the left atrium, then into the left ventricle, then through the main artery, it goes into the body organs where oxygenated blood pass into the body parts, and the deoxygenated parts again pass to the right atrium, it contract, then it goes into the right ventricle, then it pass through the pulmonary vein to the lungs. So this cycle is going on. Beat and pulse rate. The pumping of heart, you know that the heart pumps blood, in which the auricle contraction means article is followed by the ventricular contraction. When atrium contract, it goes into the ventricle, then ventricle contract, again is go to the atrium, that ventricle. So this contraction is going on and constitute means combine it make one heartbeat. A normal human heart beats about 72 times in a minute. In 1 minute, 72 times. The heart gets filled with the blood and pump it to the body. This action of the heart involves two phases. First, when the blood flow from the auricle to the ventricle, as I told you in the definition. Then, from the ventricle to the arteries. So this pumping of the heart, in which the auricle contract and followed by this contraction constitute the one heartbeat, as I told you. When the muscle contract and relax rhythmically, this contraction phase of the muscles is called systole, whereas the relaxed phase, means expansion phase of the heart muscles, is called diastole. So one complete rhythmic contraction of the heart followed by this relaxation is called a heartbeat. It's another definition of the heartbeat, means one complete contraction, means this contraction, that auricle to ventricular, they make a contraction, so it complete a rhythmic contraction, means one by one, so it known as heartbeat. Then pulse rate. When the ventricles contract, the blood comes in jerk, causing distension of arteries. As the blood moves on, the pressure on the artery wall eases and they relax. So this distension or relaxation of the arteries can be felt as a throbbing sensation called pulse. Throbbing, I told you that fast rhythmic sound means dhadakna. The pulse can be felt easily on the wrist or the side of the neck. At the other places, arteries are deep seated and it becomes difficult to feel the pulse. Here you can easily feel the arteries, so we can touch our wrist, so we can easily feel the pulse. Each heartbeat sends one pulse along the artery. So the pulse rate per minute is the same as the rate of the heartbeat, means each heartbeat, you know that in a minute 72 times it beats, so each beat send one pulse. Heartbeat and the pulse rate increases whenever we do any physical activity. You have noticed that time we are breathing very fast, यार heart works very fast, बहुत तेज आवाज़ आने लगती है, it's throbbing very fast. So pulse rate may also slow down due to the many illness like anemia. Sometimes we feel very low energetic, that time our pulse beat also low if we are suffered with any diseases or anemia. So it takes so you must have felt that whenever you play or your heart beat faster than normal, and whenever you take rest, it takes a few minutes for the heart rate to become normal. So whenever you are cycling or running or dancing, that time your heartbeat become very fast. When you take the rest for some time, it becomes normal. Stethoscope. In previous slide, a word I used, distension. Distension meaning expand, बढ़ाव, फैलना. When the blood flow, it expand and it relax the arteries. It feels the throbbing sensation. Feeling, throbbing I told you, धड़कना, तेज से धड़कने लगता है. क्यों? Because of contraction and expansion of arteries. Now stethoscope. Stethoscope, you have seen this instrument. This instrument used by doctor for listening to the heartbeat. It's a device that amplifies the sound of heartbeat. Amplify means make louder the sound of heartbeat so that doctor can hear them clearly. It consists three parts. You can see in this picture: earpieces, rubber tube and chest piece. So a chest piece, you can see this one. It carries a sensitive diaphragm at its bottom. You can see there's a mirror-like structure. It's a diaphragm. Then two earpiece you can see, which we put in our ear, and the tube joining the chest piece and the ear piece. Doctor can clue about the condition of our heart by listening to the heartbeat through this stethoscope. He placed the chest piece of the stethoscope over the heart region of our chest, and he put the earpiece of the stethoscope in his ear. Then it takes the diaphragm, amplify the sound of the heartbeat coming from our body. This rubber tube and the earpieces transmit the sound to the ear of the doctor, and it helps the doctor find out if our heart is functioning normally or not. And it also helps in detecting congestion in the lungs by the sound that are produced during breathing. Now last slide is function of the circulatory system. Though the circulatory system different in different kinds of animal, but there are some functions are here which is commonly same. First is transport of oxygen. You know that through the circulatory system means when the blood flow, it transport the oxygen from the lung to each cell of the body, and it also transport the carbon dioxide during respiration when it is formed and transported by the blood from the site of the production to the lungs from where we breathe out. It also transport the food absorbed from the small intestine to each cell for providing energy. The waste such as urea or produced by the different organs are carried by the blood to the kidneys and from there excreted out of the body. It also regulates our body temperature. It transfers heat from one part of the body to the other. It prevents excessive blood loss and help it wound healing by the formation of blood clots. You know that in the blood, its platelets are there for the blood clotting. It also protects the body against infection by destroying the germs and foreign organisms. You know that in the blood, white blood cells are there. It protects our body against diseases. So these are the functions of circulatory system.